Hey everyone. Adobe is one of those companies that's very good at having like a huge monopoly on the market where they have no threat but still somehow strangle their customer to lose them. That metaphor is probably a bit too broad because really there's only one software that everyone uses. It's definitely not After Effects because I see other people using like way more of the programs for movies and videos. It's not Premiere Pro because when you ask video editors what they use, they will say that or Vegas Pro or DaVinci Resolve. So by natural selection, that only leaves you with Photoshop, and that is true somewhat. Everyone does use that for photo editing. Because like what's the alternative? GIMP? Do you trust your kid with GIMP? It's so popular now that the name has evolved to mean like the actual process as well. Like people just say, oh, we'll Photoshop the picture, as opposed to we'll edit the picture. Like it's bizarre, the word Photoshop is longer than edit, but people still use that name as a verb because it just sounds good. You can give that praise on the effect that they just picked a good name or that they made like a good reliable software. However, you definitely can't praise them on the fact like they make it worse every single year and even harder to use with every single update. Let's ignore for a second the way they get rid of some shit that was actually good before and they tweak other tools so that now it crashes way more often compared to before where it just worked but nobody liked it because it was supposed to fail. I want to talk about the policies, especially this recent one that makes no sense, where they're essentially saying to your face, we have access and can moderate your own projects you're working on if they're saved on the cloud. It wasn't that caveman-ish like I made it sound, but I mean come on, if you take a second to read it and don't skip past it, it is basically saying that. I have one tiny theory that could explain like why they want you up to this policy, but first thing first, I want to explain like how dumb it is in general. What other place would you see as being a thing where someone pays actual money for a good or a service like marketing 101 and at bare minimum they expect like their own privacy and that should be gawked at by the seller 24/7. As you mentioned, they don't even have the context for what you use Photoshop, whether for work or for like just dumb shit. So one tiny edit you made as a joke could be seen as very bad by big Adobe. Shouldn't be doing that even if you pay for it. One interesting thing I saw people say, which is definitely an issue, is what do you do if your project that you're working on with your company is under an NDA? Like they value the privacy of it that much that they want to make it as airtight so it doesn't get leaked. Because that could definitely over a project like the week or a month before it comes out. But then you just have Adobe, barging in, seeing it for themselves. Who cares? Screw your NDA, your non-disclosure, whatever the A stands for. That's definitely one huge flaw that could lead you a lawsuit, especially when it's already part of the policy now without you knowing. That you might have already agreed to without knowing, because I mean, who really reads the policy when it comes out every single week? Adobe has said themselves that they have a lot of reasons to warrant this update. For example, understanding issues with the cloud service or improving tools on the software. That is one reason, but I have seen people say how this could be also for AI, and now that I see it, it does make sense. They already have like an AI generator that you can put like a prompt in the most recent version of Photoshop, so they clearly do give a shit about like keeping improving the AI model over time so it gets better. It could have definitely had the potential like turn out like shit where nobody used it apart from jokes and it's just they threw it away, which they haven't. But I feel like a lot of people would be pissed off with the knowledge that their own project that they work hard on is being used for like AI model training, which it definitely would be if it happened without the permission or the knowledge. You could just save your project on your actual hard drive on the computer, but if you pass projects between like work and home where it's always like switching places, or you have other people working on them, then yeah, you're basically to only use the cloud feature where they can access it. One other thing I wanted to talk about is like the reaction to this policy update where it was on two sides. Number one, people actually use Photoshop being pissed off about it, where they're already sick of paying it in the first place, and number two, the second reaction, people who pirate Photoshop and they're thankful they don't have to adhere to this bullshit. And you know what, Adobe? I'm not condoning piracy. Then I'm watching the video, who cares? But that is slightly one thing I lean towards, where if you're paying for a product that gets worse every single update or every year, and it's slowly breaching your rights and privacy, that is a pretty good reason and motivating factor to pirate like a previous version and keep that instead. Which honestly, people have been pirating Photoshop for years now, so only people that really pay for it at this point definitely lost the last pillar of reason to keep giving Adobe their own money. The only people that really force the policy is, like I said, companies that have to use the cloud feature. And again, like I said, if you're working on projects that are under NDA, Adobe, you're poking the bear for an actual lawsuit that could even f you over. That's all I'm saying.